My name is Sonal Sachdev, a software engineer working with Josh Software since 3 years. And within this 3 years of time span, I got chance to work under 3 different job roles. So initially, I started as manual quality assurance engineer. And I must tell you, developers don't used to like me much because I was excellent with finding bugs. Then I transitioned into automation engineering, and as a result, now developers used to hate me more. But then I thought of being friends with developers and I switched into Ruby on Rails development. And with meantime, I also find myself doing some training and proof of concepts for machine learning. And today I am here to tell you a story. So, going further, this story would not be solely based on the struggles faced by me in switching technologies. Instead, I'll take you all to an adventurous journey where you will experience unexpected turns, amusing rivalries turning into friendships, also some epic code victories. Trust me, by the end of this story, you all will believe that this is not a typical tech talk. Instead, this is a tech adventure. Moving further, I would like to introduce these 4 main characters of my story, setting the baseline: Ayush, Brian, Aditi, and of course me. So story starts with my first day of internship with Josh. As I stepped in, here people were involved in some heated debates about what kind of databases are better, structured or unstructured for loading queries faster, followed by many technical jargons. Here, everyone was an engineer coming from renowned institutes having proven experience. Ayush, he was building some voting system in blockchain, while Aditi has developed some stock market prediction platform in AI at that time. And I was amazed, trust me. And I had no opinion to involve in debates because I was a commerce graduate sitting in the crowd of engineers. Yes, bit more about me. I am a BCom graduate, followed by Masters in Business Administration. Imagine my feeling on very first day as an intern sitting in the group of engineers. I was really scared. And when I was asked about my technical background, I wanted to learn coding, but I didn't had that prerequisite computer science degree. And when I was asked about my education background, I could barely speak and I said, I have done BCom. And before anything else, before I could complete my education qualification, my experience, I was bombarded with multiple questions. Few of them are these. Someone came up with the point that don't you feel BCom degree is quite irrelevant to enter in this tech industry? Adding to that, another person came up with the worst teasing statement that HR based there. You are sitting in the wrong group. Adding to that, I also got a comment that you do not have the education foundation for coding. You do not know programming basics. You do not know algorithms. Don't you think we would be able to work with you? We won't. And trust me, I was really feeling embarrassed. And before I could speak up, Brian came into the picture. Brian was our trainer. He said everyone was given a fair chance to get selected. Holding computer science degree was a prerequisite, but everyone was interviewed. So do Sonal. And pointing to Ayush, he said, she's definitely not here as an HR. These words are comforting enough, right? For a non-techie, these words were comforting enough for me. But the questions which I got from Ayush and Aditi all echoed in my mind continuously. And I could relate to the situation when I was looking for first technical job role. And As every story has villains, my story was no different. Any guesses? Who could be the villains of my story? Recruiters. Yes, correct. Recruiters were the villains of my story. I wanted to code. I wanted to step in technology. But I was not having education. I was not having that background to step in. And whenever I used to apply for any job role, any technical job role, my applications were getting rejected simply because I didn't have that prerequisite computer science degree. But you all might be thinking that I must have got lucky enough to break into this system, or I must be lucky enough to got my first job role. But no. Like every organization, my organization, Josh, also has that hiring standard to at least secure computer science degree. But moreover that, Josh found determination in me and desperation to code. I was interviewed on problem solving skills. I was given few sets of problems and I was asked as per my logic to solve those problems. I got selected. But getting selected itself was not it. I knew this was just the beginning. I knew the thoughts, the questions that were raised on me for the very first day would follow for the entire journey. So, would follow for the entire journey. I used to lack confidence, trust me. When I was even working as a quality assurance engineer for a project, I was scared to raise a single bug. I even overseen many bugs when I was working as a QA. I used to think that whatever the behavior seems unusual to me could be the usual behavior of the developer. Developer could judge me that, hey, you are a non-techie, you won't be able to understand, don't go into the technical detailing. But things changed. When I found my first victory as QA. So this victory was related to a very critical bug from a quiz contest. This quiz contest was in its staging phase when the back button, and I found that the back button was functioning. No big deal, right? Back button was functioning. But this back button could have break the entire system because if the candidate clicked on the back button, they could reattempt the entire quiz with the knowledge of correct answer. Without doing any delays, I reached out to my manager and clients, same were conveyed to the clients, and on the smooth delivery of this product, I got my first appreciation from the clients. And by the way, this was the same client who initially sidelined me saying a commerce graduate, a non-techie should only be allotted some management tasks and should not go into technical detailing. From there, I gained confidence in my testing skills. From there, I started being confident on my own cases, edge cases, and time changed. But then code attracted me. I then wanted to do automation testing because some of the codes were involved there. I reached out to Brian and asked, what is this concept? He was also not aware. He guided me that there are n number of platforms available on internet. I can opt in for any course. And as a result, I opted for Selenium course. Selenium course, and then I wanted to automate, I wanted to code. And as a practice, I selected a system from e-commerce platform. This system was very unique and complex. This system was order management system. Why unique? Because this allowed user to submit order for far, far future days. Not days, future months, even future years. So imagine the complexity, how many models are involved in this. Also, complexity was more amplified when third-party tools were used. And I automated it. When this build was showed to clients as well as managers, they were amazed. And as an organization, we got new business, and I got chance to work as an automation engineer. Sooner, when I was automating the test cases, as a result, I could find more bugs. This made developers more frustrated. And one odd day, when I was doing my testing, Ayush spoke up and said, "Why don't you yourself fix the bugs rather than raising?" I took it as a challenge and I said, "Why not?" But trust me, guys, when I was given access to the code repository, I could barely read a single line of code. Everyone there was sitting and looking at me, and even I got the teasing comment from Ayush that just because you can automate the script, just because you can automate this already developed system doesn't mean you can develop a fresh system. I lost all my confidence at that point. But then I decided to learn Ruby. Why Ruby? Initially, I had no clue how easy and simple this language is. I decided to learn Ruby just because it was one of the tech for our code base. I used to go home and think, just on deciding that I should learn Ruby would not help me to break into the system and start coding from day one. I used to go home. I used to think that where should I start? Should I start from practicing C concepts that were taught while our schooling days, or should I opt in for any Ruby code, or should I get help from mentors or seniors? And there I got to know about Rails Girls. For anyone who's not aware about Rails Girls, this is a one-day training done by Rails community to empower women. And trust me, this Rails Girls soiled the seed of Ruby within me. I started to write some initial codes. I started to understand the code. But I used to get the comment every time that, "Tujhe nahi jamega." The code base is 10x difficult from what you are writing today. And guys, I'm not prepared. Sorry. And this was the exact same feeling. I thought of quitting. I thought I already had the QA job. Why should I do development? But then I started fresh. Whatever the concepts I was taught while Rails Girls, I started fresh. And trust me, by this time, the non-techie label which I had, which was a curse to me earlier, was now my secret weapon. I can reach out to any junior, any senior. I can take help from any person, and they could never comment on me saying, "Tujhe kyun nahi aata ye?" This is the basic thing. Because mujhe nahi aata. I was a QA. I was starting from there. And that point, I started learning Rails. I started contributing on the same repository on which I was once said, "Tujhe nahi jamega." When I used to automate the cases, I used to find the bugs. Now it was the time that I was able to resolve all the bugs and raise the PR to Brian and Ayush. They were doing some code review feedbacks. They used to give some comments. I used to learn. And from there, my journey started. I started fixing small bugs. I started writing R specs. I even was involved in some POC. And I was working as a shadow resource for for Ruby on Rails development. But that was not it. I wanted to shine in front of clients. I wanted to gain their confidence. I wanted to gain their confidence. and I found an opportunity. While my development phase, I found a tool, let's name it as A. That tool was costing a lot to clients. Clients were concerned about their billings. I took a chance and I did some research, some some code changes, and figured out tool B and C. So with the combination of tool B and C, we can completely eliminate the use of A. With minimum code changes, no quality was compromised. I gathered all these things, I gathered all my researches and reached out to Brian and Ayush. This was even conveyed to the clients. Initially, clients were not sure about this change until Ayush came into the picture. He stepped in and said, let's do it. The proposed solution would work. And guess what? It worked. It saved clients 85% of costing. So with the combination of B and C, we were able to completely eliminate A. From there, I gained confidence of clients. From there, I gained confidence of internal team. And then I started to work as full-time Ruby on Rails developer. No one asked about my degree at that time. I was able to prove with my dedication, with my urge to learn, I was able to prove. And with these points, I just wanted to convey just one thought, that everyone believes that you need to know everything before starting a new tech. It's wrong. Just like Remy, who knew nothing, who proved that one cannot be a master chef overnight. One cannot whisk 5-course meal overnight. They need to prepare from start, learn gradually, and achieve what they wanted. But no one can deny the fact that whatever is taught while engineering can be learned by a commerce student overnight. These 4 years of education cannot be replaced by a non-techie. But only engineers can code is incorrect. Coding is really difficult for non-techie at start. Trust me, it was very difficult. And as I demonstrated, I was about to quit. But gradually, I started gaining confidence on my learning capabilities as well. I found myself a person who learned more easily. I started with it, I practiced, and today I am here. A BCom student, a BCom graduate who was initially scared to even dive into code is now contributing in the same PR where Ayush and Aditi is working. Meanwhile, I also do some POCs and training for machine learning. Though I didn't had any prior knowledge, any prior background about machine learning, I am still doing that. So, if I can do this, this is the live example, anyone can code. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonal. Questions? I was expecting some hands to come up. Yes, sir.
It was really inspiring. Like
Hold your mic closer. Can't hear you. No, the mic is on.
It was really inspiring. I have worked with a couple of folks who did not even graduate. So I just wanted to know, like, are you frustrated by QA right now, or how is it? Do you develop?
I believe QA was the starting point and the best turning point of my life. And every developer should be earlier a QA, should be prior a QA, because they have that knowledge, they have that base they hold the base that they should know the entire system. And I believe I'm the one who is the mixture of QA and a developer. Now, if I develop any system, I know ifs and buts. I already cover all the edge cases in my mind.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Hi, I'm just curious about how people out of CS backgrounds learn stuff on this. So, what resources did you use or would you recommend for people like in the same background?
Sure. So I have not, because I had time constraint, I have not shared the roadmap. Let's connect after this talk, and I'll share the entire roadmap which I followed.
And do you know any Rails guides? Because I believe BigBinary has a very Learn Ruby on Rails guidebook that we have, and we found that it's very lacking as well. How a new person would get into Rails. So that's something I'm looking forward.
So I started with a combination of Rails Girls and Rails community with the Rails Guide. So Rails Guide was my base.
Yes.